What's up, YouTube? It's Yugioh boys, and we got a deck profile here for Cyber Dragons on the 2014 July ban list. Go ahead, you can lay them out.
So we're going first 3 Cyber Dragons, of course.
Of course.
It's a deck. So got those. Next off, Cyber Dragon Cores. It's the main card you want to get out. You use machine duplication. You can get a Cyber Repair Plant with them. Very important to the deck. Next off, Cyber Dragon Drays, 3 of them. You want that for the extra deck, the 5 stars, or the Cyber Dragon on the field and in the graveyard for fusions. Next monster is Cyber El Tanin, 1 of those.
Just one?
Just one. It's good for a clear in the field if you need to. And it's good against cards that can't be destroyed by card effects, because this doesn't destroy it, it sends it to the graveyard, so you can use this card. And
like Dragosack?
Like Dragosack, like Star Eater, like Belize.
Nifty.
I only run 1 because you banish all the cards in your graveyard, and that kind of takes away half of your play. Next off, 1 Honest, just for the match in the battle. Light deck. Next off, Card D. I only run 1 of them. You could run 2, but it's just for draw power. I mean, if you've got a Threatening Roar in your hand, then you can just throw this down for next to 2 cards. Now on spell cards, 3 Power Bonds. I don't run any other fusion spell besides Power Bonds because I like the double attack. I can deal with the damage being taken at the end of the turn, but with Cyber Dragons you're going for the OTK, and if you use polymerization or super polymerization, you're not getting the double attack. Cyber Twin Dragon becomes a 56 with Power Bonds, and that's always nice. Next up, 2 machine duplications. This is used with Cyber Dragon Cores, because with Core they're treated as Cyber Dragons on the field, so you can special summon 2 Cyber Dragons from your deck, or you can special summon 2 Cyber Dragon Cores on the field. So you have a lot of options there with machine duplication with Cyber Dragon Core. Next spells, 3 Cyber Repair Plants. Staple. You gotta have them. I mean, it searches your deck for any Cyber Dragon. It's a quick turnaround in the game for you. Next off, we have 2 Forbidden Lances. You gotta make sure that your summons, your attacks, they all gotta go through. So Forbidden Lances cancels out any of those Mirror Forces, Bottomless, Compulsory. Make sure you got at least 2 of those. 3 becomes a little too much. I always like to run just 2. Got 3 MSTs.
Oh, is that a ghost?
It is a ghost rare MST. Just because I hate back row, and there's nothing worse than getting Cyber Twin Dragon out and they have a Magic Cylinder or a Mirror Force set. Next off, 1 Day of Peace. Not only is it important for the draw card and the no battle, but it's a good combo with Power Bond, because if you Power Bond and then you attack, and that main phase 2 you use 1 Day of Peace, you don't take any Power Bond damage, which is very important, because that's 2,800 that you're saving yourself. 1 Limiter removal. It's good for the OTK. I mean, that's pretty plain and simple. Double the attack, and you don't need to worry about destroying at the end phase, because you're going to kill your opponent with that Limiter removal. And last of the spells, 3 Upstarts. Gotta have that draw power.
Only 1 Ultra.
1 Ultra, working on the 2. But draw power is important. You gotta burn through your deck to get your Cyber Dragon Cores and your machine duplications out and your Power Bonds.
You don't mind giving 3,000 life to your opponent?
Not at all, because with Cyber Twin Dragons and your fusions, you're gonna do that damage anyways. I mean, if you're hitting 2 attacks with Cyber Twin, you're doing 11,200. That's more than
enough.
3 Upstarts. So moving on to traps, along with the Upstarts, 3 Reckless Greeds. Once again, draw power, important. And also, if you have more than 1 set on the field, you can chain them. And let's say you activate all 3 on the same turn, you draw 6 cards, but you only skip 2 draw phases. So that's a big plus. Next we have 3 Threatening Roars.
The stall card.
Basically the stall. If you draw your Cyber Dragon, but you're missing the Cyber Dragon Dre, or you're missing the Power Bond. It's just extra draws, no damage. And last for the traps, you got 3 trap stuns. Going along with Forbidden Lances, you got to make sure your attacks go through, got to make sure your summons go through. Anything, if it's negated, you're kind of screwed because that's your one shot for the OTK. So, and it's for the rest of the turn too. It doesn't just negate one. So if you negate it bottomless, then they can't use a Mirror Force the rest of the turn with your attack. That's it for the main deck. So we'll go on to the extra deck. And mine isn't, I mean, I have the main staple cards in the extra deck, but cards like Gaia and that type of stuff, I would get out these guys instead. What in here. So it's not necessary, but they're good to have just in case. So first off, 2 Cyber Dragon Novas. That's the main card you're going to get out. Great effects, double the attack, well 2,100 attack more. You can activate that anytime. You can attack with a Cyber Dragon, then banish it to double his attack. And also if he's destroyed by a card effect, you get a special summon any machine type fusion from your deck, which we'll get to that later. You got 1 Pleiades. It's great. This is one of the cards you use with machine duplication. You'll duplicate core to get out 2 Cyber Dragons and instantly have a Pleiades on the field, and you send one to their hand and it's an open field for an attack, or you're getting rid of a back row. So good card to have to ensure an attack. Also similar, Volcasaurus, another one with your machine duplication. Get good 5-star and it snipes one on the field. They take damage to the attack, and it's a 2,500 attack. It's a solid attack and good effects. This isn't, as it's not that important, but Shark Fortress, just if you have the extra 2 5-stars, once per turn you can target a monster and that can attack twice. So if you've got like a Nova on the field or a Cyber End Dragon, just attack twice with 4,000 piercing. It's a good extra card to throw in there. I run 2 Cyber Twin Dragons. These are your main fusion. You gotta have 2 of them at least. 1 is too less, 3 is too much. I've never found myself in the opportunity where I could have gotten 3 out, and even if I was, I wouldn't have, just because there's other stuff in here that you want to get out. Next up we have 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons. These are good if you're just stuck, no power bonds, no XE material. It's just a good, quick contact fusion. It doesn't require a power bond or polymerization. And also, if you want to run DNA surgery in your deck or side deck it, you can turn your opponent monster into machines and then use their monsters with your Cyber Dragon to contact with him. So it's a good clear in the field for if you're playing against swarm decks. It's a nice side deck or extra deck to have. I won 1 Parapsychroid.
Interesting.
Just because, I mean, I don't use it too often, but it's a good finisher. I mean, if your opponent's got, you know, their wall of attackers out, beat sticks out, defenders out, you can just throw this down with a power bond. It's a 3,200, can attack directly. It's a good finisher. It's like similar to Gaga Cowboy, just for an end game stuff. And it's kind of embarrassing to get killed by a bicycle, so it's always nice. This guy, Chimera Tech Overdragon, I've never actually used him. I would say don't even bother with him because there's better stuff to get out. If you have enough to get this guy out, you have enough to get better guys out. So he's just something that's in there because filler. Next we have Cyber End Dragon. This guy's a good piercing. That's his main ability. You got 3 Cyber Dragons you're going to fuse with. With a power bond, it's going to be an 8,000 piercing. And
not too bad.
It's, yeah, especially if your opponent has maybe like a Marshmallow on the field or a Spirit Reaper, you can't destroy it by battle, just hit it with piercing. 8,000 piercing, that's going to do the job for you. And 8,000, I mean, how often are you going to get an 8,000 attack on the field? That's always pretty badass to get out. And lastly, we have the Ultimate Battle Machine. Now, while you can't fusion for him, the only reason and purpose he's in this deck are because of these guys. because once Cyber Dragon Novas get destroyed by a card effect, you can throw out this guy because he's a machine fusion, and what he does is he can attack twice. He's a 4,000 insane power right there. Can attack twice, and for each monster you destroy, they take another 1,000 on top of the overflow damage at the attack. Now he can't attack directly, but when he does kill your monster, a monster by battle, the effects are negated from the battle and in the graveyard. So it's a good, just solidify the attack, don't have to worry about the effects, and it's a good counter to your Novas being destroyed. And that concludes the extra deck of that, and I'm not going to go over side deck just because, I mean, locals, you know what you're playing against, and you can really use whatever. I have at least a DNA surgery in there for my Chimera techs, but other than that, you know, Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors for your darks, but it's really whatever you want. And that is my Cyber Dragon OTK deck.